Shalom Israel. Call Halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth and who rule well. And a sincere salutations to the house of David. You Akim pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth in all truth and all faith and in all sincereness. Risking and putting your lives on the line daily for the names Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. It's Zechariah coming at you with another lesson. Lord's willing, it be edifying.
The war is going catastrophically for Ukraine. The Russians are relentlessly winning. And they are going to take over huge swaths of territory of this country. Because I'm in Ukraine right now. I'm in the city of Kharkov. I hear, rather, the shelling every day. And the shelling gets closer every day. The mainstream media is lying to you. The Russians are winning, definitively. And because they are winning so definitively, and they have no intention of stopping, I mean, why would they? They're winning. Well, the Biden administration finds itself that they have put all of their chips on Ukraine, and Ukraine is definitively losing. It's quite frankly a miracle that the Ukrainian armed forces is still standing after the annihilation it has received. It is inconceivably horrible what has happened to these young men. And every single one of them is a brave man with a family, and they've died pretty much for nothing except the desires of the Biden administration. And now the Biden administration finds itself with a catastrophic loss, and so they are going to escalate. And the way it seems that they are going to escalate is by creating a situation, an incident in Lithuania. Lithuania, one of the Baltic republics, one of the members of NATO, well, the Baltic Republic of Lithuania has cut off access of Russian railway to Kaliningrad. Now, for those of you who don't know, basically, here's Russia, here is Lithuania, and over here is a little piece called Kaliningrad that's on the Baltic Sea. Now, this was captured in the Second World War, but it's detached from the mainland of Russia. Lithuania is between them. And Lithuania has had an agreement, a long-standing agreement of over 30 years, that they would never impede any train between Russia and Kaliningrad. That they would basically consider that train like a corridor that could go back and forth between Kaliningrad and Russia. And now they've cut it. And now they are making moves in terms of moving troops. Now, Lithuania has a microscopic army, but the Polish army is also on the move. The Polish army has been making moves on the Belarusian border. All of this leads me to conclude, realistically, that at this time, there is the intention by NATO to provoke the Russians into defending Kaliningrad.
Welcome to Europe's latest headache, a fault line where the European Union ends and a sliver of Russia begins. Here to the southwest of Lithuania is Kaliningrad. It's a Russian legacy of the Second World War, an exclave about the size of Northern Ireland. For decades it's been supplied by cargo running through Lithuania. But now sanctions have been imposed on things like building materials and coal, and these trains are arriving half empty. Russia has threatened reprisals, and Lithuania's government is nervous.
There are discussions with the Western allies about a permanent NATO brigade in Lithuania. This situation shows that we really need to have additional capabilities in Lithuania.
The unanswered question lingers: just what is Russia threatening?
Standing here, you can see why Lithuania is so nervous. Russia has stationed short and long-range missiles and built a mighty military base right on the border of the European Union.
57 high-ranking officers of the armed forces of Ukraine were killed. The armed forces of Ukraine lost a large number of high-ranking officers, including those of the general staff. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, Caliber cruise missiles hit the headquarters of the Ukrainian army in the Dnipropetrovsk region. according to the information published by the Russian Army on Saturday. June 18th at 12:30 local time, Caliber cruise missiles hit the headquarters of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, where a meeting of the command staff of the Operational Strategic Group of Troops of the South took place. The command post was located near the village of Shirokaya Dacha in the Dnipropetrovsk region, and the strike was carried out by Caliber cruise missiles. As a result, the sweeping strike, 57 generals and officers of the Ukrainian Armed Forces were killed, including those of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the command of the Kharkiv forces and formations operating in the Nikolaev and Zappa region.
Russian Federation Armed Forces continue launching attacks at military facilities located in Ukraine. At 12:30 p.m., Caliber high-precision long-distance sea-based missiles were launched at a command post of the Ukrainian troops near the village of Shirokaya Dacha, Dnipropetrovsk region. At the moment when there was being held a walk-in meeting of the commanders of Alexandria Operational Strategic Group, the attacks have resulted in eliminating more than 50 generals and officers of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, including those of the General Staff, the Kakhovka Group, airborne assault troops and units that operate towards Nikolaev and Zaporozhye. Offensive towards Severodonetsk is being successfully developed. Several units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine are abandoning the operation area due to low moral and psychological condition, as well as lack of munitions and logistic supply.
So, folks, this is a major blow to the Ukrainians. Major blow. And I'm trying to find that other article. But Russia is demolishing the Ukrainian forces. Ukraine is not going to win this war. I have told you many, many times that the only chance that Ukraine has to win this war is that NATO get fully involved, and it looks like that is being set up right now in Lithuania. Folks, if Russia does attack Lithuania and takes over Lithuania, then NATO probably will activate Article 5, and that means direct confrontation between our country and Russia. That means everything in our country is a target.
Damn.
Once we enter the war, our homeland is a target of Russian missiles. Do you realize that? And you can blame the Biden administration for poking the Russian bear and keep on poking and poking and poking and poking until we get to an all-out, full-fledged war with Russia, folks.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Shalak,
Shalak,
Mawaf,
Mawaf,
Wah,
Wah,
Rayam,
Rayam,
Wah,
Wah,
Ainashim,
Ainashim,
Wah,
Wah,
Haragim,
Haragim,
Wah,
Wah,
Abadim,
Abadim,
Al,
Al,
Ka,
Ka,
Adawamyam,
Adawamyam,
Wah,
Wah,
Kawayam,
Kawayam,
Wah,
Wah,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Baba Kusha,
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 Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Shalak,
Shalak,
Rayam,
Rayam,
Wah,
Wah,
Ainashim,
Ainashim,
Wah,
Wah,
Mashapatnim,
Mashapatnim,
Wah,
Wah,
Haragim,
Haragim,
Wah,
Wah,
Abadim,
Abadim,
Wah,
Wah,
Mawafyam,
Mawafyam,
Wah,
Wah,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Wah,
Wah,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Abad,
Abad,
Baba,
Baba,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Shalak,
Shalak,
Rayam,
Rayam,
Wah,
Wah,
Ainashim,
Ainashim,
Wah,
Wah,
Haragim,
Haragim,
Wah,
Wah,
Abadim,
Abadim,
Wah,
Wah, Aragyam! Aragyam! Wah! Wah! Maragyam! Maragyam! Wah! Wah! Masapanyam! 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 Ow! Ow! Ka! Ka! Adawanya! 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 Wah! Wah! Garayam! Garayam! Wah! Wah! Abad! Abad! Babad! Babad! Abad! Abad! Babad! Babad! Abad! Abad! Babad! Babad! Yahweh! Yahweh! Hashem! Hashem! Yahweh Shai! Yahweh Shai! Baba Kushah! 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 The water! The water! Aman! Aman!